Robert, you need to make a space. Meet your brand new student, Grace. Robert looked from his colleague Pat to the waif there by her side. Matted red hair, clothes in rags, probably made from sewn together flour bags. I can't stuff another soul in here, no matter how I try. Pat leaned in close and in his ear whispered, Up by you, and she'll need your chair. Then went into the book room between them, in their two-room school. Emerged carrying a tiny wooden table. Robert jammed it in best as he was able, shook his head, and sat back down on the old piano stool. The next few days, Robert did his best to treat his new charge, same as the rest. It wasn't easy. She wouldn't speak up or follow along in her text. Spacey Gracie, the whispered jeer. No place for ugly nicknames here, Robert retorted, doing his best to appear extremely vexed. Pet, I don't know what to do with Grace. I'm really in a stew. No matter what I say or do, she doesn't seem to care. Pat replied her mom's in the sand with TB, and last month her dad was lost at sea. Her nan is doing the best she can, and so that's it for this school year. After school, Robert tried something new. Grace, can I please work with you? She nodded, and so he took a book and placed it in her space. Can you read this? She shook her head no. He got another. Give this one a go. It was no use, he realized, as tears ran down her face. Robert's heart sank, but he tried to smile. That's enough of that. Let's just chat for a while. I like to draw things like that, he said, pointing to the solitary poster on the wall. She walked over by it, face almost touched the frame, said, you and Rochenberg have the same first name. It then hit him. Perhaps reading wasn't exactly the problem after all. He got reading glasses from his desk drawer. Grace, can you just try one more? She put them on, and this time took the book up in her hand. Her eyes now darted to and fro, and Robert didn't need to ask, although once again her eyes filled up, and he didn't understand. Don't you have glasses? Grace looked away. I lost them. Where? Oh, I just can't say. Well, keep those. Grace nodded, gave a smile, but then the next day she didn't have them on. Where are they? She only murmured, gone. Robert's shoulders slumped down low. Looks like it was back to square one once again. He went next door to talk with Pat. I gave her glasses. Now, Lord knows where they're at. Pat got them from her pocket and held them out. Here. I saw that nuisance Johnny knock them off. You're quick to judge, she then did scoff. Probably the same thing that happened to her one and only bear. Somewhat chastened, he went back to class, wondering how now to get through this impasse. It hit him while the others were taking their coats down from the hooks, and he motioned to Grace to duck inside the cluttered book room that he'd kept with pride. Perhaps you can make a space for your glasses in there with all the books. Now her poor old eyes, now how they gleamed. That suited her, and well it seemed. And each day she'd linger longer before stashing away her specs. Robert noticed how things had changed. The shelves dusted off and books rearranged numerically like they should be, and in the proper subjects. He also became ever more aware of scraps of paper she was leaving there. Curious, he looked through some, and to his great delight, they were filled with detailed sketches of scenes from the books, clearly done with love. He took some home and thought on it all that very night. And when school was finished the next day, he said, Grace, can you help me find a way to stow what's on the book room table up atop the shelf? Well, together they made good headway, soon had the table and the chair all squared away. Now then, Grace, here is a space for you, all for yourself. And one evening, as Grace went out the door, she lost a sheet of paper on the floor. Robert sung out for her to come back, but she didn't hear his call. He picked it up, loved what she'd done. It was a watercolor scene from Fahrenheit 451. He got a thumbtack from his desk and pinned it on the wall. Now, before half the next day was through, sure, the rest of the crowd wanted to put up their stuff too. Okay, he said to them, we'll make a space all right. And by the end of the day, there was no doubt. All four walls were fully, neatly decked out. And from then on, he kept Grace's peace, where it best caught the light. Now the rest of the year slipped by so fast, and when the summer came round at last, Grace and her mother were reunited, soon after moved away. And Grace never did come back, but a long time later that old thumbtack lost its grip on the watercolor, revealing another image on display. Robert's smile grew wider as he drew nearer. Sure, it was like he was looking in the mirror. Well, so long as you made allowance for his now older self. He took it down, smoothed it out. 'Twas Grace's work, there was no doubt. He took it home and framed it. From then on, kept it on the shelf. Some years later, now retired, to visit the mainland, he was inspired, and his journey one day found, walking down Yonge Street. An art shop sign caught his eye, Spacey Gracie's. He went inside, and there on the wall, the visage of his own face did meet. Copy of that portrait from so long ago, but with a few improvements though. This one framed acrylic on canvas and in its own space so true. It set amidst other things so fine, lobster pots, dories, and other designs made from soapstone, driftwood, and from pewter too. If only I'd my specs, he softly mused. Said a voice, I've a pair that you can use. And just as you once lent me yours, now you can borrow mine. Grace? Oh yes, it's really me. And I've got my own place now, as you can see. This is what I do. And thanks to you, I'm doing it just fine. With the glasses on, the portrait filled his eyes. Seeing that there comes as quite the surprise. She put one arm around him. I can see how that might be true. But when Mom was sick, Dad lost at sea, you gave me a place where I could just be. And just as you made a space for me, now I make space for you.